Disaster, whether natural or man-made, can strike at any moment. And when it does, the Salvation Army's Emergency Disaster Services is one of the first to respond and the last to leave. With an international network of facilities, resources, and trained personnel, the Salvation Army is uniquely positioned to immediately respond to the most devastating catastrophes the world has ever seen. From the 1900 Galveston hurricane, still the nation's deadliest on record, to the horrific tragedy of 9/11 and the destructive aftermath of Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria in 2017, the Salvation Army's Emergency Disaster Services, or EDS, has been there on the front line each and every time, providing care and support to first responders and survivors, but most importantly, emotional and spiritual compassion to those in the greatest of need.
We plan every day as if tomorrow could be the next big response.
Bob Myers is the Director of Emergency Disaster Services for the Salvation Army's Eastern Pennsylvania and Delaware Division.
Every day is a training day. And what we mean by that is simply you bring the same mindset of preparing at the highest level every day that you come to work and every day that you come to volunteer. So our full area of responsibility covers all of Eastern Pennsylvania and Delaware, but Greater Philadelphia is really a cornerstone part of that because we do such a significant level of response, responding to over between 250 and 300 emergencies per year in the city alone. And by a local response, that could be anything from a local house fire to a police incident. It could be a water main break. And so we try to respond to any incident that impacts the community.
Through the use of their mobile feeding units or canteens, EDS is able to be at a disaster site, providing food and hydration to first responders and survivors.
And sometimes on a larger, incident, it might be serving meals in a shelter situation for those that have been evacuated from a particular incident that's impacting their community. We see our role as providing that along with the emotional and spiritual care.
Since joining the Emergency Disaster Services team in 1999, Joan Seneff has seen her share of disaster response challenges over the years.
I was at 9/11. We were at Harvey in Texas. I was down there for 2 weeks. We don't grow through the easy times. We grow when we face challenges.
I mean, without volunteers, we really couldn't do what we do. She's a pastor by day, but she never takes off that ministry role or robe, regardless of where she's serving, including on the scene of a major train derailment.
It was a very sad scene. Everybody that was working that scene, everyone is affected. I also knew that some people had died.
More local help is on the way. Additional members of the Salvation Army of Eastern Pennsylvania and Delaware left
The
from
island of
Philadelphia
Puerto Rico was hit the hardest by not only Hurricane Irma, but Maria as well.
We'll be there from the start to the finish, however long is needed, and as long as our division here in Eastern Pennsylvania can be supportive of that, we certainly will be.
People like Ketsi Lozada, Chief of Staff to Philadelphia Councilwoman Maria Quinones Sanchez, has many relatives on the island of Puerto Rico.
It was almost like I was anxious. There was anxiety running through me for weeks. And then I heard that people were going to start to sign up to go.
Ketsi volunteered with EDS on a 14-day disaster relief mission in Puerto Rico.
I was prepared to go for the worst and to see the worst.
Her willingness to step right in and get her hands dirty and do whatever was asked of her was amazing.
After the 14 days, you could see the work that we did and how we changed the lives of many, something that the Salvation Army does there every day. At the end of the day, I'm grateful. The folks of Puerto Rico, I'm sure, are absolutely grateful. And the people here in the city of Philadelphia are grateful for having the Salvation Army as a partner.
And even as island evacuees relocate to Eastern Pennsylvania and primarily Philadelphia, EDS has extended its support to them as well by partnering with the Philadelphia Office of Emergency Management.
So many folks have evacuated the island, and a good number of which have landed here in Philadelphia and some of the other parts of our Eastern Pennsylvania and Delaware division. With that, we've tried to ramp up our support as well in providing emergency assistance to those in need. I believe our figures so far are over $138,000 that we've done division-wide, 90 to 95% of which for the evacuees located here in Greater Philadelphia.
Salvation Army for us is a keystone institution among all of our nonprofit partners. We can't do this job without them.
You get a lot of reward and satisfaction and just being able to look back and see how many lives you've touched on and how many people you've impacted in a positive way.
It's an amazing organization filled with people who take compassion and service to a whole different level. In your darkest moments, the Salvation Army is there.
Always ready, always prepared. The Salvation Army Emergency Disaster Services, doing the most good.